Imagine spending 5 years chasing one dream, working late every night, missing birthdays, giving up vacations, believing with all your heart that one day your life would change. Then one morning, you proudly tell everyone your biggest plan. Some people smile, some laugh, some tell you it's impossible. A few pretend to support you, but secretly hope you fail. Months later, your dream disappears. Not because you weren't talented, not because you were unlucky, but because you made one simple mistake. You shared your plan before you built it. The strongest dreams grow in silence. The loudest dreams often die before they begin. Today's story is about a young man who learned this lesson the hard way. His name was Ethan. And by the end of this story, you may never tell anyone your next big plan again. Ethan grew up in a small town where almost everyone lived the same life. People woke up early, worked long hours, complained about money, then repeated the same routine the next day. As a child, Ethan often stood outside his tiny house and watched expensive cars drive past. He wondered what it felt like to live without worrying about bills. His father worked harder than anyone he knew, yet every month there was never enough money. Sometimes his parents skipped dinner just so Ethan could eat. They never complained, but Ethan noticed everything. One cold winter evening, he woke up thirsty. As he walked toward the kitchen, he heard his parents talking. His father quietly said, "I'm sorry. I don't know how we'll pay next month's rent." His mother's voice was calm, but filled with sadness. "We'll figure something out." Ethan stood frozen behind the door. For the first time, he realized how heavy life had become for his parents. That night, he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling and whispered to himself, "One day, I'll change everything." It wasn't just a dream anymore. It became a promise. Years passed. Ethan graduated from college. Like everyone else, he found an ordinary job. Every morning he woke up before sunrise. He spent hours in traffic, worked all day, came home exhausted. At the end of every month, after paying rent and bills, almost nothing remained. He looked at his bank account and thought, "Is this really how my whole life will be?" Deep inside, he knew he wanted something different. Every night after work, while others watched TV or scrolled endlessly through social media, Ethan studied successful businesses. He read books, listened to interviews, learned new skills. Slowly, an idea began forming in his mind. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't guaranteed to succeed, but for the first time in years, he felt hope. He could already imagine his parents smiling without financial stress. He imagined paying off every debt, buying his mother the home she had always dreamed of, helping his father retire early. Those dreams filled his heart with excitement. But excitement can be dangerous when it isn't protected. Instead of quietly building his dream, Ethan wanted everyone to know about it. One Friday evening, he met his closest friends at a coffee shop. His face was glowing with excitement. "I've finally figured it out," he said. "This idea is going to change my life." His friends looked at him with curiosity. For the next hour, Ethan explained every detail: his business idea, his future plans, how much money he hoped to earn, how quickly he expected to succeed. When he finished speaking, everyone clapped. "That's brilliant. I always knew you'd do something big. You're going to become rich." Those words felt amazing. Ethan walked home feeling like he had already succeeded. For the next few weeks, he couldn't stop talking. He told his cousins, his neighbors, his co-workers, even strangers who asked about his future. Every conversation ended the same way: "I'm starting something huge." People praised him, some admired him, others secretly doubted him. But Ethan didn't notice. Every compliment gave him a small reward. And without realizing it, he became addicted to talking about success instead of working for it. Days turned into weeks. Weeks became months. His notebook became full of ideas. His phone became full of motivational videos. His room became full of plans. But his dream hadn't moved even one step forward. "Never share your plan until it's done." Part 1 continued. Every morning, Ethan promised himself, "Today is the day." But when the day ended, nothing had changed. He spent hours creating perfect plans. He designed logos. He wrote business names on pieces of paper. He imagined interviews where people would ask, "How did you become successful?" He imagined buying his parents a beautiful house. He imagined driving an expensive car. He imagined standing on a stage while thousands of people applauded him. But imagination never changed reality. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Ethan saw an old classmate celebrating his success. The young man had built a company from nothing. People were congratulating him from all over the world. Ethan smiled for a moment. Then sadness filled his heart. "We started at the same place," he whispered. "So why is he moving forward while I'm still standing here?" That night, he couldn't sleep. He looked at the notebook beside his bed. Hundreds of ideas, hundreds of plans, hundreds of dreams, but not a single real result. The next morning, Ethan decided to visit the local park to clear his mind. The park was almost empty. Only a few children were playing. An old man sat quietly on a wooden bench, feeding birds. His clothes were simple. His face was covered with wrinkles, but his eyes looked peaceful. Ethan sat beside him without saying a word. After a few minutes, the old man smiled. "You look like someone carrying a heavy burden." Ethan gave a tired smile. "I have a dream," he replied, "but I don't know why nothing is happening." The old man listened patiently. For almost 20 minutes, Ethan explained everything: his business idea, his future goals, the people he had told, the praise he had received, the fear he was now feeling. When he finally stopped talking, the old man remained silent. Then he pointed toward a large oak tree, standing in the middle of the park. "Do you see that tree?" Ethan nodded. "Do you know how it became so strong?" Ethan shook his head. The old man picked up a tiny seed from the ground and placed it in Ethan's hand. "This giant tree was once smaller than this. For months, it grew where nobody could see it. It didn't ask for attention. It didn't ask for applause. It didn't announce its future. It simply kept growing." The old man looked directly into Ethan's eyes. "Dreams are exactly the same. If you keep digging up a seed just to show everyone that it's growing, it will never become a tree." Those words hit Ethan like lightning. For the first time, he realized something painful. He had spent more time talking about his dream than actually building it. He had been chasing compliments instead of progress. He had mistaken excitement for achievement. The old man smiled gently. "Young man, people clap for ideas, but they only respect results. Protect your dream until it becomes too big for anyone to stop." Ethan sat there in complete silence. He felt embarrassed, not because he had failed, but because deep inside he knew the old man was right. As the sun began to set, Ethan stood up. He thanked the old man and started walking home. Each step felt different. His dream hadn't changed, but his mindset had. That night he opened every social media app. He deleted every post about his future business. He stopped talking about his plans. He closed his notebook, opened his laptop, and for the first time, instead of dreaming about success, he finally started working for it. Little did Ethan know, this quiet decision would completely change the rest of his life. Never share your plan until it's done, Part 2. The next morning, nothing looked different. The same small apartment, the same alarm clock, the same crowded bus, the same ordinary job. But inside Ethan, everything had changed. This time, he made himself one promise. "From today, my work will speak louder than my words." He stopped telling people what he was building. When someone asked, "How's your business idea going?" he simply smiled and replied, "I'm learning every day." Some people thought he had quit. Others believed he had failed. A few even laughed. "I knew it wouldn't work. It was just another dream." Months earlier, those words would have crushed him. Now, they became fuel. Every insult reminded him why he had chosen silence. Every doubt pushed him to work harder. His daily routine completely changed. He woke up at 5 every morning. Before the sun rose, he spent 2 hours learning new skills. After work, while his friends watched movies or spent hours scrolling through social media, Ethan returned home and worked until midnight. Many nights he was so tired that he fell asleep at his desk. His hands ached, his eyes burned. Some mornings he wanted to quit. Then he remembered his parents. He remembered hearing his father whisper, "I don't know how we'll pay the rent." That memory became stronger than every excuse. One rainy evening, Ethan opened his wallet. Inside was almost nothing. His savings were nearly gone. For a few minutes, fear took over. What if everyone was right? What if I fail? What if all of this is a waste? He sat quietly in the darkness. Then he remembered something the old man had said. People clap for ideas, but they respect results. Ethan wiped the tears from his face. He stood up, opened his laptop again, and kept working. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, the small pieces began to fit together. His skills improved. His confidence grew. The mistakes that once made him angry now became lessons. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single question changed everything. One afternoon, something happened that Ethan would never forget. He received his first customer. The payment wasn't big. In fact, it was smaller than the money he spent learning. But Ethan smiled like a little child, because it wasn't about the money. It was proof. Proof that his dream was no longer just an idea. It had become real. He printed the receipt and placed it inside the same notebook that once held only empty plans. Months later, one customer became 10. 10 became 100. 100 became thousands. The business that everyone believed had disappeared was quietly growing stronger every single day. Then came the moment no one expected. A local newspaper published an article about a young entrepreneur who had built a successful company from nothing. The picture on the front page was Ethan. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Friends who hadn't spoken to him in years suddenly wanted to meet. People who once laughed now said, "I always believed in you." Some even asked, "Can you teach us your secret?" Ethan smiled. There was no anger in his heart, no desire for revenge, only gratitude. A few days later, he returned to the same park. The old man was still sitting on the same wooden bench, feeding birds. Ethan walked over with tears in his eyes. He sat beside him without saying a word. The old man looked at him and smiled. "You grew," Ethan nodded. "So did the seed." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The wind gently moved through the trees. Finally, Ethan asked, "What's the biggest lesson you've taught me?" The old man looked toward the giant oak tree and quietly replied, "The world doesn't need to know what you're planting. It only needs to see the tree when it grows." Years later, people called Ethan an overnight success, but they never saw the lonely mornings, the sleepless nights, the fear, the failures, the tears, or the silent battles he fought when nobody was watching. They only saw the results. And that's the truth about success. Most people want applause before they deserve it. They announce goals instead of achieving them. They seek attention instead of progress. But the people who truly change their lives understand one simple rule: work in silence, grow in silence, struggle in silence. Then let your success make all the noise. So if you're carrying a dream today, protect it, feed it with action, water it with discipline. Don't waste your energy trying to convince people that you'll become successful. Save that energy for becoming successful. Because when your results finally arrive, you won't need to explain anything. Your life will tell the story for you. Remember this for the rest of your life. Never share your plan too early. Build quietly. Stay patient. Let your results speak louder than your words. One day, the same people who doubted you won't remember your excuses. They'll only remember your success.